so we got all the first one. Let's go to the second one. So the second one says the blades of a windmill rotate in a clockwise direction and complete one rotation every 6 seconds. So right there, one rotation every 6 seconds means that that's your period. So the period is 6. Then it says point B is on the tip of one of the windmill blades and is located directly above the center of the windmill at time t equals 0. So t equals 0 is at your top, okay? As indicated in the figure, point B is 40 meters from the center of the windmill. So this, God bless you, that's 40 meters. The center of the windmill is 75 meters above the level ground. So this whole thing is 75 from center to ground. As the windmill blades rotate at a constant speed, the distance between B and the ground periodically increases and decreases. The sinusoidal function h models the distance between B and the ground in meters as a function of time in seconds. Part A, the graph of h and its dashed midline for 2 full cycles is shown. 5 points, F, G, J. This is always going to be exactly the same. This little box is exactly the same on every single sinusoidal FRQ. Determine the possible coordinates, okay? So this is one way to do it. It doesn't mean it's the only way to do it, okay? First thing for me is find max and min. Like, to me, that's the easiest part. So the max is the highest point, which is the 75 plus the 40, and that's where the 115 comes from. Then every y at the top is 115 because that's your maximum point. Then find your minimum point, and your minimum point is the 40 from the top down another 40. So if I did either 115 minus 80 or you did 35 plus 40, either way, you get the bottom of this circular pattern would be 70 or 35. That's your minimum. So now that went here. So max is the y's at the top, mins is the y at the bottom. The midline, we split the difference, right? So the midline goes at the y on the midline, or the y's that are in the middle. So 115 plus 35 divided by 2 gives you the 75, and the 75 is your midline. That also gives you D. For the amplitude, you would do 115 minus 35 divided by 2. And that's on my next slide. Hang on, let me. All right, so the amplitude ends up being, where's that? 40, which is your A, okay? So D 75 and A 40. The 40 does not go on your curve, like it's not on your plotted points, but it would be the distance from the midline up or the midline down. Then you've got your period, and your period is 6, and 2 pi over the 2 pi over the period gives you B, so 2 pi over 6 gave me the period, which is pi over 3. Those things are set. A, B, and D should be the same for everybody. I'm so sorry. Thank you. The A, B, and D should be the same for everybody. Now, what changes is how you choose to start your curve, okay? First of all, it told you that it needed to be a sine curve. So when I look at this graph, there are multiple ways to start it. I can either come back here and make this my sine curve, okay? I can come over here and make this a reflected sine curve. There's a lot of ways to start it. You just pick, okay? Then think about your coordinate points for your, so the x values are come from your period, right? From start to finish would be a 6, whether I start at 0 and go to 6 or whatever you're going to start at, and then at the distance for one full period is 6. So because it said at T0, I'm at the top, I made the 0 at the top. And then it would end at the period, which would be 6. Halfway through is half of your period, which would be 3. And then this is a quarter of the way in and a 3/4 the way in. So you can either split the difference between 0 and 3, which is a half, and then split the difference between 3 and 6, which is 4.5. Or you can take the period, which is 6, and do 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. And those are going to be your middle points, okay? So if you go with, I forget which one I actually went with. I started with, if I were to start at the 1.5, which would be this curve, there would be a reflection on A. So if I did a C of, oh no, I went backwards, sorry. A C of positive 1.5, I actually started here and did this one. If you do that, you went back a fourth of your period, so you went back 1.5, which is fine. That would be a positive A and a positive 1.5 for C. If you started here and went forward, then your C is going to be a negative 1.5 and your A would be negative 40. So you can also switch it that way.
Wait, for the first blue curve,
Yeah.
the C coordinate for that?
The C coordinate would be negative, or would be positive 1.5. Yep.
Wait, positive?
Yeah, because I went backwards. So 0 is here. So that's like your axis.
So if we went left, that's positive.
If you went left of the, if you made this 0, remember you can do different things, but if you made this 0, then this is negative 1, this went back 1.5, so this is a positive 1.5 C. And if you went, and it would be a positive A. If you went forward, you went to the right of 0, which means it's a negative 1.5, and then you have to reflect your A, so the A is negative. So those two would have to counterbalance each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that would be for the sign. If we did cosine.
Right. This one told you to do sine, but if it told you to do cosine, you could pick different ones. So that's, I gave you one of each in the homework tonight. Or I think I gave you 2 sines and 1 cosine, but I gave you both so that you could see if it says cosine, I need to switch it. If it says sine, I need to do this.
Okay, but if it said cosine, we didn't need to do.
If it said cosine, you could have done a positive A and no C.
No C. Okay.
Correct. All right, so then the next part will also always be the same. And even if you butchered the A and the C, you should be able to answer part C because it's only based off the picture. So part C says go from G to J, and I wrote all over this sucker, so I don't even know where G and J is anymore. Where was G? Here?
G is 1.5.
Here? G to J, right? I don't need to know anything about this equation to look at that graph and say that that is, well, I need to know the y's. The y's are still positive because it goes from 75 to 35. The y's are positive, but they are decreasing. That answers the first question, positive decreasing. And it would be on the U shape, which means it's concave up, which means the rate of change is increasing. The order of that statement doesn't matter. You could say our rate of change is increasing because the graph is concave up, or you could say it's concave up because the rate of change is increasing. But you need both parts. Yep.
Why is it positive?
Because the y values are physically positive.
Oh.
Right? Like that's what you're looking at. If this had dipped, like let's say you're talking about sea level, and it's above the sea level and below the sea level. Well, this is going to be a positive, but that's going to be a negative. So you're literally looking at the values of y to answer that question.
Okay.
Are they positive or negative, and are they increasing or decreasing?
Why is it increasing on the? Oh.
The rate of change is increasing. Is that what you mean? Because it's concave up. So now we're talking about concavity because we're talking about rate of change in that part.
Okay.
So rate of change is increased?
Because it's concave up. This question asks about rate of change, the last one, not the original like y values.
You have the video.
Yeah, like I have one video that goes through all of it, and then like which is on the assignment. Or if you go to the YouTube channel from this year, yesterday's I went over the first one and today's this one.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so open to that quiz review. I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard to figure these questions out. Like it's not like, you know, like when I could give you factoring questions from here until the end of the school year, and I can generate as many multiple versions of those. But real world sinusoidal graphs is not the easiest thing to do. So I tried to piece these together, and I hope they make sense. Like I went through and I redid them, and I think my brain understands them, so I'm hoping it's the same. Okay, but this first page and the second part, the top part of the third page, of the second page, good God. So I gave you 3 sinusoidal practice ones. Again, this is like the most important thing because you're 100% getting this on your AP exam. So on Monday, you are going to get something similar to an FRQ like you did yesterday, where one full FRQ is with the calculator and one full FRQ is without. The without is this. It's going to be this, I'm telling you right now, okay? So you're going to get some sort of real-world explanation. It's going to ask you to plot the points. It's going to ask you to find A, B, C, and D. And then it's going to ask you for a specific interval. So this is G to J, but I changed it later. This interval will change. Is your interval positive, increasing, And then what about the rate of change? That does not change, okay? It's going to happen. That's going to be your FRQ without the calculator. Then if you go to number 4, so number 4 is where you want to start calculator. So I don't know if you want to make a note because I didn't put a little symbol on it or whatever. 4 is going to be calculator. Good morning. I tried to give you different types of what you could see with a calculator question. The first is a data chart. So this is the same data chart you did in homework, but you did this question without a calculator. You got to make sure you can understand what it's asking for. So like when it says use a graphing utility, find the sinusoidal regression that best models the data using t equals 1 to represent January. You're going to your data chart, you're typing in this data, and you're generating a sinusoidal FRQ from your calculator. We understand that? Yes, okay. Then it says, use the regression model to find the predicted temperature. So now we're using the Y1 in our calculator. And compare it to the actual data. The actual data is the one that's in the chart. Part C says, use the given data to find the average rate of change of the temperatures. So if you compare, because I want you to notice the difference, C with F. C says use the given data to find the average rate of change of the temperatures from March to August. F says use the regression model to find the average rate of change of the temperatures from March to August. What's the difference? One, you use the model from your calculator, which is C, right? And F is, I think you said it, Greenlee. Did you say? Oh, somebody over there said it. Josephine. Other way around. C is the calculator FRQ because it says use, no, you're right. Use the given data. This is the chart. This is the equation. So for this, I would do March is 3, August is 8. I would do F of 8, which is 81, minus F of 3, which is 74, over 5. Okay? That's going to give you that rate of change. And then you still use that rate of change to predict a value like that. For F, you're going to keep your stored equation in your calculator, and you're going to do Y1 of 8 minus Y1 of 3 over 8 minus 3. They should be close, but they are not going to be the same answer. And then for both of them, you're going to interpret the meaning of your rate of change, and then you're going to use that rate of change, which we did in the first FRQ yesterday, use the average rate of change to predict what happens in October, or what should have happened in October. Does that make sense? Yes? You think you'll be able to do this on your own? I hope so. 5 is going to be calculator. Okay. Oh. So then 5 is also a calculator-based question, and this one you are given the model equation already. So this is, they gave you 2. One that was working on a rodent population, gross, but they already had it, so I kept it. Second is the hawk population, okay? Now you're going to find what's the maximum of the hawks, what's the minimum of the rodents, and then I talk about, like, use the given data or the given function to find the average rate of change from a specific year to a specific year, interpret the meaning, and then use it to use the average rate of change to predict it. So all of that would be calculator based. You don't need a calculator for A and D, but A and B, but the rest you use it. Questions?
Are the solutions supposed to be?
I have to finish because I added